All right, hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar with myself, Greta Wall. I'm your host, and I'm joined by David Prince, the leader of T3 Live's Inner Circle virtual trading floor. Today, we're going to be going through what David is seeing for the rest of the year, what Inner Circle has been doing so far in 2024. We're at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but a lot has happened so far this year. And then at the end, a special opportunity for everyone who is with us to be able to join David in the Inner Circle and become a part of this community that not only gives everyone really great trade ideas, but really transforms traders. And we want to highlight that for all of you today. So David, thanks for doing this with us today. We'll quickly just go through some disclosures here for T3 Live. David, it's a Monday. How's your Monday going so far? How are you feeling about today?
Good. I feel like we were positioned well. I would say strategize well because it's obviously a huge week or two coming up. So really pleased with how our Monday went.
All right, great. So as everyone is still kind of cycling in and getting in here, I see the viewer count going up, but I, just want to tell everyone to say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. If I see any really interesting locations where people are watching from, I'll be sure to call those out. I'm in California. I'm on the West Coast, and David, I know you're in Texas, right?
Yep.
All right, so there we go. So again, today our agenda is we're going to introduce you to who David is and what the Inner Circle is, show you how they've been doing so far this year, and then get David's game plan for what's coming up. This week in particular is huge. We're holding this on Monday of a really big week. It's the Super Bowl of earnings pretty much this week coming up. We're also getting some key economic data this week as well. And then next week, Obesity Week is coming up. So there's a ton of really exciting things coming for this community. And it's a time that you're going to want to be part of this community. So about David Prince and the Inner Circle VTF, who is he? David was a nightclub owner back in the 90s. He's been in the financial industry space since 1997. He was a former hedge fund manager. He helped put SPACs on the map, namely John Juice and American Apparel. He's been very involved in the biotech space. Immunome is his baby of a stock, but something he's been very invested in from the beginning, and you'll hear him talk about it a lot if you're in the Inner Circle. And then part of the cannabis space as well with Hydro Farm. And then in 2020, he partnered with us here at T3 Live to create the Inner Circle virtual trading floor. These are some pictures looking back on David's past with some models and some actors. And this is his time in this when you were in like nightclubs, right, David?
Yep, that was 3 decades ago.
As you can see, young David in these pictures, just some fun for you guys to see, where it all started, and then some family pictures as well. Little David there, with is that your grandparents and your parents, or?
Yeah, grandparents, great grandparents.
Oh, amazing! And then David in high school, and then those are both with your wife, right?
No, one's not wife, one's wife.
Oh, one's wife. Okay, the one on the far right. So they look very similar.
U.S. So. Yeah.
But the far right is his wife now, and then David also has 2 children as well. So what is the Inner Circle virtual trading floor? This is an exclusive trading room and community for hedge fund managers, family office heads, corporate executives, big accounts, people. And there are some requirements, of course, to join this group, and that is at least $100,000 minimum account size and 2 years of experience. This is not for beginners. It is an exclusive room for traders who are of the appropriate size and can take the appropriate trades. David Prince is the leader, but he also has Kira Turner and Rick March as moderators in the room with him. Taking a look here at some of the tweets that some Inner Circle members have put out there. So that, they're putting these out there on their own, talking about David and what the Inner Circle has done for them. Now that I'm at year 2 in Inner Circle, nothing but grateful for what's been a really good year. Can't thank Epic Trades One enough. Epic Trades One is David. I reached out to him after blowing up my account and all my savings. Fast forward to a year, and I'm up 300%. So it's quite a testimony there. This, despite having a busy full-time job, focusing on DP's main ideas and his expertise, I'm achieving superior, consistent returns and sleeping well at night. You will not find a better mentor or person of higher integrity. And joined Inner Circle 2 months ago. What a feeling of freedom. Life-changing, man. Thank you so much, Epic Trades One. And these are some comments from the chat, the Inner Circle chat. I've learned a lot of my weakness and psychology this last 6 to 8 weeks, no longer chasing stocks. I think this is one good one to point out. We're transforming traders in the Inner Circle and teaching them the things that actually matter to focus on and just getting rid of the noise and focusing on what really matters. DP, Rick, and Kira taught me how to buy the best companies, and I'm recovering from the horrors of the past. So let's get into, David, what you guys have been doing recently in the room. So we're going to focus on the themes that Inner Circle has been trading, what David's game plan is from here, and of course, how this community transforms traders and their mindset and their money management. So David, you've been bearish the overall market the past, I'd say like you and I talking the past like 2 months, right? Kind of more bearish overall.
Like out of fairness, I wouldn't say bearish. I would just be like, I'm not excited by the indices, right?
Indices, right.
So I've been more focused on stocks. So it's not
and we're going to get to that.
Out there shorting Qs and short. It's just, I don't see a lot of alpha in owning indices, although, we'll talk about biotech. But for me, it's been, I don't see the risk reward set up in the indices where I still see certain stocks that work. So
all right. So this is a quick trade. Yeah, this is a trade that David took back October 23rd. So that was last week. It feels like so long ago, but that was last week. And you read those Q puts from 90 cents up to $2. So you're finding these opportunities in each day to take advantage of a thesis that
if there's volatility, we'll take advantage of it. It's also, we're constantly putting on hedges every time the market's ripping, thinking, okay, if we do have a lot of longs on, let's make sure we're covered, because it's obviously a huge month coming up between the elections and earnings week.
All right, but so you've been a little more bearish the indices, but you've been focused, as you've said to me many times, under the hood. So let's take a look at what under the hood means when it comes to the market. We'll start off with these calls on Google. You took these last week. You went long the 170 November 1st calls as an earnings play. But as of this morning, you were down to a third of those calls because, you were up almost $2 on these calls. Talk about the thesis you had for Google, and, they're reporting earnings tomorrow. So are you still holding these calls into that earnings report?
So still have some, about a third or maybe a tiny bit less. And what we do is every earnings season, I like to explain to people, especially that are still kind of, gaining experience and learning, that how stocks work for earnings is not just about the print itself. It's so often about where the stock is the event, pre-earnings. So Alphabet's really been a horrendous performer. It's the cheapest on a PE basis in the entire group, meaning Mag 7. And I said, wow, this is one of those where if you talk to a professional gambler, they'll often tell you, if you can make 100 or 2 or 300%, even 10 or 20% of the time, I'll take that bet every time. So as Alphabet was down last week, I said, you know what? The whole world is bearish. The market's pricing in like a 10-point move. If it's not as bearish as people think, this could be a big one. It's pretty cheap at this point. Granted, the government's against them. It seems like they're losing market share, or that's what the streets decided. So do you go huge? No, but I like it as a speculative earnings play. So I got long calls, and I love to do it pre the event if I feel I have an edge in price, meaning in simple English, I think the stock will pay me before earnings so I can take some profits and then play with some of the house's money. So today we got lucky. An article out of the Information made the stock go up 3 pre-open. Options were up well over 50%. And I took a lot off. So now I kind of can play it for free. It's a tough setup, but it's very cheap. So if earnings are better than expected, considering everyone expects a pretty dreadful performance from them, it could be a big mover. So that's why I took it. I wouldn't say I think business can be hitting on all cylinders. I do think the government's an issue. So I'm not saying it's an easy play, but the way the stock was priced, it made a lot of sense to take it then. Now today, if you missed that trade when it was down at 162, 63, am I rushing to buy Google or Alphabet before earnings? The answer would be no.
Mm-hmm. But those earnings, of course, are tomorrow after the close, and anyone who gets in the room with you as of today can bet you will be live reacting.
Pretty active after hours and reading these reports. We're not cowboys, so we only actually make a move on these events if there's something where we feel we have an edge. But if we do have an edge after hours, we will certainly act on it. So we'll be pretty active tomorrow night between AMD and Alphabet.
Yeah, a great example of how you and the Inner Circle handle earnings is Tesla last week. You saw those margin numbers last week that I think were what, 19%, and they were expecting 15%.
19.5 or something.
And the stock was already up 9 points. And you said, guys, I don't understand why this is not much higher. This is still a buy. And people were buying, we were already up 9 points. People were buying Tesla after hours. And, you can see here in the screenshot from the chat, we heard the voice. People, listen to you and can tell when you're really excited about an idea, it's worth getting in. Recently, this is all from that, most of our calls are up 300%. On Tesla, shout out to Epic Trades for the spot on guidance after hours on Tesla. So a great call there. And then pre the earnings, you guys even made money on that We Robot event. You can see that tweet there. Great plan and focus on Tesla this AM. I'm sure many would not believe if we say Inner Circle made money long Tesla at the open. Amazing weekend morning. You guys saved me a terrible day. Talking about the transformation of traders here. You can look at that on the right. Never before in my trading journey would I have made those trades on Tesla open. The old me would not have taken my profits on Tesla yesterday or followed your trade today. So just talk about what Inner Circle's been doing with Tesla recently and the focus for you guys as a group.
Okay, so there was this feel-good emotional trade into the event. And I don't mean earnings, I mean autonomous event, robo-taxi, et cetera. And when the stock was down, we took some options and they were up quite a bit. And I said, listen, there's so much pressure in this event. The stock's up a lot. Very often these events are disappointing. And as smart as Elon is and as captivating as he is, he tends to disappoint during these big events. So I don't see the risk reward being long anymore. Let's take our profits. And we got out. And we know how the event went. It was, in some people's view, a disaster. Then as the stock lost about 40, 50 points going into earnings, I said, I don't know if I'm going to play it, but if I had to, the setup is clearly long. So I think some people did take calls because frankly, the stock is off 40, 45 points. There's a good shot. I said that margins hold up and this entire earnings results will be about margins, right? The whole quarter is going to be predicated as far as if the stock works or not on margins and then everything else. So some people took it. For me, it was pretty simple. Once I heard the margin number, I said, okay, this is the beginning of a much bigger move. And what I told Inner Circle was, I know you feel excited because a lot of people bought it 222, 223, 224. So as the stock hit like 240, 242, I was like, I know everyone wants to sell, but it was just 260, 265. They just had, excuse the dogs.
The dogs are good, David. Every time we have your dogs interrupt the webinar, the Inner Circle has a great day the next day. So everyone, if you join today, the dogs are an omen for a good day the next day. They're good luck.
So I said, listen, the key here is you can't just go selling the stock and trading your P&L. The stock has missed most of the bull market. It's barely up on the year. Margins were superb. I don't even know how he pulled it off. He actually spoke like a grown-up on the call. Powerwall was amazing. Across the board, it was the best conference call I've heard in a while. And I think it's going to fill the gap right back up to 260, 265. And, rather than kind of say it after the fact, that night I wrote on Twitter, I said, hey, I really doubt this stock pulls back at all till we get to 265. And I said, God, if I should really make sure I follow through with that to hold people's hands, so to speak, and really make sure they stay in it, it better be Inner Circle. So proud to say we really stayed in a lot of stock even till Friday and today. I lightened up a lot once we got to 270 on Friday. We're still long, but much less. And then today I said, listen, this is due a pullback. So when it does, I don't think it's over. I think we're going to 300 for a multitude of reasons, mainly underperformance. People are looking for other things to buy. And the quarter being as solid as it was, 260, 261, first level, 255, another. So we started buying some stock back today after lightening up into 270. And that's how I'm playing it. Into a down open tomorrow, I'll be pretty excited to add stock and options. And think this is the beginning of a bigger move. People forget Tesla's still down 35% from highs. And by the way, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not saying Tesla's not a car company, and I'm not saying it's not expensive. But I'm saying the market doesn't care. So I'm not going to let that, like, it was one of our best trades of the year. We got paid huge. It was like 50 points in a matter of 48 hours. If I start, because I know there's going to be someone who says that. If we think like that, we're going to miss these moves. So yeah, I know it's expensive. Yes, I know it's a car company. I don't care. So that's how we're playing Tesla. Did I lose you? Nope, I think I did. Amber, do you know what happened here? What shall I do? Should I log out and log back in? All righty. I have no clue. Let's see.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Camo from T3 Live. We lost Greta and David. Hang on 1 second. Okay, guys, can you hear me? Can you type in 11 in the chat? Type in 11 in the chat if you can hear me. Excellent, thank you. So I'm assuming we had some kind of technical difficulties. Greta and David, how's it going? I just jumped in. Okay, how you doing, David?
I'm okay. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm seeing if I have a text from Greta. Greta might have lost power or something. Okay, yeah. So David, so back to Tesla. So you saw the margins exploded, and the stock was up. Now, I do feel like a lot of people have trouble with buying things that are already up. So, like, what made you be willing to just keep going for it there?
One, because it's Tesla. So every stock has a character, right? Like an emotional kind of template that you know you can go back to. And Tesla is one of those stocks. When it goes and actually breaks out and fills levels, it actually predictably keeps going, right? And the longer it takes for a stock like Tesla to actually move, the more sure I am that the move, once it happens, will be larger. Then you had the quarter. Then you had the fact that the stock is barely up on the year. Then you had the fact that it's down 35, 37% from highs. And then you have the fact that every other stock, its peers in Mag 7 are up 40, 50, 60, and 70%. And you could look at it and say, wow, this is going to play a game of catch up really, really quickly. You could throw on the fact that there's a short in there and so many non-believers, and that usually makes for a powerful move. So it just seemed like a very obvious focus. We went through all this, so you know, because I know you're playing catch up.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, So Greta's internet crashed. She should be on, hopefully soon. So yeah. So we want you to look at these messages on the screen. Our friend Craig. Craig is a super fan. He's one of our best customers. Most of our calls are up 300%. Yeah. Tesla. Oh, the dogs are back. The dogs are good luck. Jeff Wright, you've been all over VKTX, and shout out to Epic Trades for the spot on guidance on Tesla. Greta, welcome back.
Hey. Thank you so much, Mike, for taking over. Guys, I've been having so many internet problems lately, and of course it would happen today on a day that something is happening, right?
Okay, guys, I've been fired from this webinar, so I will.
Thank you for joining midway through, Michael. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Mike. All right, David. So let's get back to what we were talking. What were you? Where
I basically said, "Hey, here's what we're doing with Tesla. We're buying the dip. We planned on it probably seeing some profit taking 3-day move, like the equivalent of what 25, 30% in a straight line. It was time to take some profits. We did. We're buying it back into this pullback. That's Tesla. I don't think it's done.
All right. Let's talk about Biotech, because this has been a huge theme, of course, for you personally, but for the inner circle, not just in the past month, but we'll talk about your recent stuff, but also all of 2024. A big part of the biotech space for you guys has been VKTX, Viking Therapeutics. And you can see this is one of your most recent trades in Viking. You were adding, last Monday, and you can see the huge spike up last Thursday and Friday there on the chart because of that new data. You can see that tweet there. Credit to you, my friend. You've been all over VKTX for quite some time. This stock and inner circle and how you guys have really taken advantage of the recent moves, but also, you guys have been trading the stock all throughout the year, even as it's looked ugly many times.
So just to walk you through, I love these stories, right? Where you have some real solid data that tells you there's a good 80-90% shot this is full on approved. And not only is it approved, but the side effects are minimal compared to everything out there. So it could be a best in class drug. I know it's small. I know it's going to take a lot of capital. I know all of that. And these stories tend to ebb and flow, meaning everyone gets excited, this just like it did earlier in the year. You get these readouts of really how it might be best in class, zero side effects, and not only injectable, but oral, which is a big deal. And everyone gets excited, stock goes to 100. And then all of a sudden, everyone starts saying, well, maybe it'll never get taken over. Well, maybe Lilly's too big to compete with. Well, then there's Novo. Maybe they'll be late. Well, they forget about it. Stock gets slammed. That's what it did. And when people tend to forget about something like this that is addressing such a large TAM with such a powerful drug that is has a catalyst, which is obesity week, and their readout on November 3rd, I said, listen, every time it's in the low 60s and everyone's given up on it, I'm buying it. And every time it's back to 70, 72, I'm going to sell some. And one of these days, it's going to go higher. So then we looked at the stock, and frankly, it was one of those simple setups. Had a higher base, meaning as opposed to breaking 60 or staying in the low 60s, it was really range bound in the mid to higher 60s for a bit over a week. So a bit of a higher base, holding up well, but with a key catalyst, meaning obesity week. And I simply said, I think we did a video on this, that human nature is going to make it so everyone gets excited pre-obesity week. They'll have earnings. They'll probably chat a bit about their drugs. And there's a good chance we see a run up into the event. Last week, we had earnings. They talked about the power of what they're doing and, the minimal side effects. And the stock went wild. And we trimmed some 70, 75. And then I got pretty small into 80 Friday and today. And when it pulled back under 75, got right back into it because we have obesity week coming up. And we have a readout on November 3rd. So lower it goes, the more excited I am. But as we've seen with some of these events, if the stock just keeps spiking right into the event, you got to be cognizant that there can be a sell the news type of situation. So that's why up at 80 after over 30% move, we sized down a bit.
Yeah, and you mentioned obesity week coming up. That's next week, and then that November 3rd data is Sunday.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
lots coming up with VKTX. You haven't just been active in VKTX. Of course, we know the inner circle is heavily invested in immunome, but the biotech, as space as a whole has been a focus for you guys heading now here into the end of the year. XBI is kind of one of your most recent trades in mid-October. You were long from the 96 area to around 99. And today I heard you say on the mic, hey guys, if you're new here or if you have wax in your ears, XBI is my favorite trade into the end of 2024. You've said, and you've been on the record about this, that the strength for XBI is, November into December. We're approaching November.
It's historically,
Friday.
It's wild. November is a huge month for biotech. Mm-hmm. And I said, It's going to back and forth, probably drive some people crazy, but I really think just like we saw at the end of 23, you're going to see one of these moves. And then sure enough, today it was up, over 2% at one point. So far, so good. Starting.
Yeah, it is starting. And just explain we'll review this in a little, we'll review what you did with XBI at the beginning of this year in a little bit. And that'll give people even more evidence that you know what you're talking about. Recently in the room, though, you guys had a big focus on China. A lot of people were focused on China with the stimulus happening in China, but you guys really nailed these trades. Let's go through some of these and you can talk about it. You went long yen overnight from around $33 to over $34. You see that tweet there. You've been all over the China trade, both coming and going. I've participated on majority of it. It's been a thing of beauty. This was back on October 15th, this trade. Tiger was another trade earlier in the month, October 7th, dropped from around $14.50 to $13. You can see there it was shockingly overbought. So David shorted pre-market and covered fast for the win. Rick was shorting Futu off of your morning analysis, rode that all the way down from $123 to $108 back on October 2nd. And the tweet there, you can say it was an amazing call by DP. No one trades overbought/oversold names better than DP. Inner Circle creates alpha by trading these extremes, and David does it over and over again. And that is really, I feel like, the crux of what was happening with the China trade. You guys were riding the stocks up, but then you were also riding them right back down when you saw the craze happening.
To give some context, basically, China was closed. And I said, listen, every pullback on BABA, FXI yen, I'm a buyer. But I think the closer we get to China reopening, there really is a potential to go lower. So being that we were ripped right into highs right pre-China reopening, a lot of people did yen and FXI puts. So we kind of looked smart when they reopened and tanks. And recently on the weakness, I added to BABA and kind of made a little bit of money, then lost a little bit of money, and then got frustrated and said, you know what? I want to stay with the China trade, but I'm going to keep it simple. So I got out of BABA and I stuck with yen, which is, the ultra for FXI. And I most recently bought 31, 32s, sold some today, but I remain long yen. And that's how I'm probably going to play it. But it really, for about 2-3 weeks, we stuck with it. And every dip we bought, and there were 5-point trades, 10-point trades. There were some monsters. And then, like you said, Futu, some of these were so overbought, we had to sprinkle some shorts on too, because we saw 85, 90 relative strength in some of these names, and who knows if they're even real companies. So,
yeah. Ken in the chat, I do see your question. We will get to that. That's a really great question that we'll make sure to address when we get to our Q&A section later. But just another example of those China trades. I remember you telling Kira back on October 1st saying, hey guys, I don't know if you saw BABA, but it just doesn't stop going up. And you can see Craig's chat or Craig's tweet there. These are exactly the types of moves I would always miss as a scalper for many years. And Craig is a trader who has transformed from a scalper to a swing trader with you in the Inner Circle. You just talk about the transformation that happens and the mindset change that happens. All right. The AI and chip stocks, would be remiss to not talk about NVIDIA, as of course NVIDIA is the market, and NVIDIA is a huge focus for the Inner Circle. AMD, though, is reporting earnings tomorrow. So it's a focus for the chip sector and the AI space. These calls that you had last week went from $350 to $425 in. You took them overnight and you got rid of them the next morning.
In a bunch.
Are you in any of these calls headed into?
No, because eventually they went to 5 and I sold, and then they went even higher today. But so I'm flat those because they went up 40%, and I don't know. I just I like it for spec, but I'm not in love with the play. So I am now flat AMD calls. Like Google, I just thought it was a perfect setup. It was sold off, was 30 points off recent highs or 25, and I thought, this will probably bounce pre the event. If it doesn't bounce a ton, I'll hold some. If it does, and I'm up 40, 50%, I'll probably take my money, and that's what I did. And I'll worry about the quarter after. Lisa has to, or the CEO, Lisa Su, has to definitely raise guidance on the AI portion of the business. Hopefully PCs also show some strength. And she talks about new clients. And those are going to be the keys. And they'll be, like we saw with Tesla, if it's one of those quarters, because she's notoriously conservative, where she really speaks in a aggressively positive tone, which is just not like her, then there'll be time to buy the stock higher because it'll keep going higher. It is, 60, 70 points off highs, 60 points off highs. And there's some meat on the bone there if she can really raise guidance and get people excited. But for now, maybe I'm a little conservative, but I thought I'm up 40% in these calls. I'll take them. So that's what I did.
And you have history with AMD. You can look here. You were right in the stock long from, you know, $155 to almost 170 back in.
Yeah, that was pre the event. Another example of like, I was like, listen, I'm excited about this event where her AI event, but the stock just ran 14. I didn't buy it at lows. Like I think it was 153. So I'm like, it's stock's running 20 points into the event. There's some downside, right? So much like the Tesla event, I didn't sell all of it, but I sold like 80, 90%. I said, let's see what she says. Sure enough, investors got a little impatient and stock sold off. So that was that trade.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like with these earnings coming up, you know, with AMD, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Apple, all of these earnings coming up this week, the Tesla earnings call is a perfect example of David gives you what to focus on. You don't have to look at all the jumbled stuff and all the EPS and the revenue and the guidance and this and this and this. He's really good at picking out what the market actually cares about when it comes to an earnings report, like the margin number with Tesla. And then that's what you have to focus on. So with AMD and with Google tomorrow, you know, David's going to come into the room tomorrow for all of the members of the inner circle and say, guys, this is the part of the earnings report I am focused on, and the part of the earnings report the market is focused on. And if I see A or B or C, this is what I think can happen. And that's the focus that the inner circle gives you when it comes to earnings versus just flying by the seat of your pants with no guidance when it comes to digesting an earnings report, right?
No, it's well said. Like on Tesla, I was like, I almost don't care about what earnings are. Just tell me what gross margins are. Give me the gross margins. Once I heard them, I said, okay. I mean, unless there's terrible guidance, the stock should be up 2 or 3 times what it is right now. AMD will be data center numbers and her raising guidance, and Google will be about maintaining market share. So for us, I've learned 30 years that so much of earnings are where it's not just the number, like, hey, here's the bottom line and here's top line. There's so much more to it. What were margins? What was guidance? And that's what makes these stocks tick, because the headline numbers often are, not telling you the real story. So kind of have to know where to focus in advance. So if there's something to act on, you can act on it.
When it comes to NVIDIA, of course, the inner circle has been very active, and we'll look through some of that in the 2024 highlights. This is a recent trade from October 18th, just taking calls to, again, amplify the alpha, amplify the move. Sometimes the stock's only going to move $3-5, but you can get a much larger move in calls or even in puts on the short side when it comes to creating more for the room. And I feel like those ideas from David
also, like a lot of us are long the stock. I've been long from the yen trade when it was 90 through 97 to most recently at 101. Am I excited to buy the stock every time it pulls back? No, not as exciting, but it does provide great opportunities via options. So after a lot of us are up 40, 50% from even our most recent buys. The way to kind of quantify risk and still create some alpha is generally with the option market. So when it's up here after a big move like this, we'll do that. And then when you get those intermittent pullbacks, like when we had that mini crash to 129, then I go back to stock again when I think there's enough meat on the bone. So that's kind of what we do.
All right, so everyone, you just saw again how Inner Circle recently nailed the Tesla earnings, the VKTX and the biotech space, the collapse of China, and the AI stocks. So let's look a little further back into 2024 and some of the big things that have happened so far this year. Does everyone remember the August 5th collapse? It feels like it was so long ago, but it's a big market dump on August 5th, but the inner circle was shopping on August 5th. David was yelling to the room to buy NVIDIA when those stocks were crashing, and you went long from about $91 and wrote it up in just 30 minutes to over 102. And of course,
but we stayed long, out of fairness. Like I had plenty of stock till about 120, 130.
Oh yeah, definitely. And so this is a look at the chat on Monday, August 5th. Helped me stay calm, had a fantastic morning, green morning, calm, perfect guidance this AM. I had a great morning. When it comes to traders who are on their own, August 5th might have been a scary day for a lot of traders. Your P&L probably looked pretty ugly. if you were coming in long any stocks. But the calmness that the guidance that David provided for members of the room, I feel like that is so important for this community. Talk about how you're able to, help traders take on the right mindset for moments like that when it really matters to their account.
Ultimately, I think it's just through the years knowing that those moments, those emotional drawdowns where you see volatility enter, that's where often like your month, your day, your week, sometimes your year can be made or lost because you make an emotional mistake or you make a very intelligent, calm, logical decision. So I feel like those are the moments where if I'm worth anything, it's then, not when everything's going up and it's all feel good. It's, hey, the world feels like it's coming to an end. Is it really ending? And everyone's saying that, by the way, it wasn't just about the yen trade. I don't know if you remember, but there was this dumb article out by the Information that NVIDIA was going to delay their product. So he even added alpha to the down move. They were going to delay their chip and it wasn't going to come until 25. And I simply looked and I said, okay, I think one, if we're going to bounce, it's going to be led by semiconductors. Two, if we're going to bounce, it's going to be led by the most important stock in the market presently. Three, I see no bona fide data that tells me anything has changed with NVIDIA. Four, trading at 90 puts it under 30 times and it's growing over 100% this year. And five, if you love NVIDIA and the semis here, then you probably got to buy some SOX, which is flush beneath the 200-day. So let's look at SOXL. So I just said, how can we quantify our risk, buy some quality? We're not chasing meme stocks, and really maybe have a beautiful day as long as we stay calm. So we went with those two and then the Qs. I decided to do TQQQ that day. But those were the three on that day. TQQQ, my memory sucks, but you might have it written there somewhere, but like 51 to 50. SOXL 25 and NVIDIA, the bulk of it, well below 100. And those were kind of, and I said, don't worry about buying 10 stocks. If those stocks are working, everything else will work. If they're not, odds are nothing else is working. So we're buying the broad market, but in the best vehicles. So yeah, I tried to just say, listen, this is a scary moment, but the difference between your month or your week might be whether I stay calm and keep you calm and you keep me calm, and we all just take a deep breath and realize the world's not ending. Because it rarely is. Because if it does, we wouldn't be here. So every time I bet on the end of the world, I didn't win.
Yeah. And that's the thing, the focus, saying these are the stocks we care about. Who cares what else is happening? This is where we're gonna focus. All right. Microsoft is reporting earnings on Thursday. The last Microsoft earnings report was a big day for NVIDIA when it comes to the inner circle. You saw the CapEx numbers and you said, guys, this is a screaming buy for NVIDIA. We have to buy NVIDIA here right now. I was listening in the room and he was yelling on the mic, guys, we have to buy NVIDIA now. So Microsoft's earnings are coming up on Thursday. Is there a possibility of any type of any sympathy plays that you're expecting off of?
Well, first off, people learn from their mistakes, right? So at that time, there's so much retail involved in chasing the AI move, not understanding how it works, that it's just never as easy. Going back to that trade, it was, hey, Microsoft's spending a ton of money. We're scared. They're spending too much. Let's sell off the market. They're spending it on NVIDIA. They took NVIDIA down like 10 points maybe it was 10, 20, whatever it was. It went into 101. I'm like, the market has this all wrong. This is a positive for NVIDIA. We got to buy it. But now moving away from that, the obvious comp is, going to be Amazon, AWS, but people always wonder, is it Azure taking business away from them or AWS taken away from Azure? The way I look at it this time is a little bit more about Microsoft. It's kind of expensive and it's gone nowhere because it's expensive. And people wonder if they're doing enough like quantifiable revenue and earnings now in AI. Yes, they own probably one of the most important AI companies out there, or a big portion of it, but it's not contributing to their earnings right now. So I think right now, because the stock's gone nowhere, I doubt I'll play it because it's expensive. but I see room for upside because it really has underperformed its peers. Outside of Google, it's pretty much been the worst performer for the past 3 months. It's done a whole lot of nothing till it finally played a bit of catch up last week. If they do, here's the issues though that one might look for. It might be a lot of people are looking for when's that moment where they talk about spending less, right? And when some of these hyperscalers say, listen, we're not halting, but we want to quantify some of our investments or see some return on our investment before we spend more. Those are the things we have to pay attention to now. I think people now know more spending is actually good for the NVIDIAs of the world and the AMDs of the world. So I'm going to pay attention to the whole gamut, but I think it's more this time, less about the sympathy plays and just how's Microsoft doing? Is it doing enough revenue to meet its higher valuation, trading at 34, 35 times? Is it giving us a good enough guidance? Is there taking market share away maybe from AWS? Things like that. That's probably what I'm going to look about.
All right, let's keep going through these highlights, skip through them. We'll just kind of scrub through the rest of these. But back on July 24th, you had told me that NVIDIA would probably bottom around the 107 area. That was your guess. And it hit that bottom just the next day on July 25th. So you were spot on.
Don't ask me to tell you about this because that's too long ago. But I'll let you
No. It's fine. And you can see from the chat here, amazing guidance on NVIDIA. Bravo, DP, nailed it again. Great big green day and week. My account has never been up this much in one day. You talk about days like today and say they don't happen a lot, they're special, but they happen enough that you can make your week, month, and quarter in the room. So we're looking back on June 20th, there was a big drop in the semis, if everyone can remember that. Back on June 20th, the semiconductor slump snaps the NASDAQ's winning streak. And David and Kira were shorting tech and semis that day. You see, went short the Qs and the fall off there. Nice call on AMD. Thanks for the focus. Great calls on AMD, Micron, ARM, QQQ. Very nicely done today. And then, of course, SMCI has been quite the saga for Inner Circle in 2024. Back on January 19th, the beginning of the year, you and Rick both went long SMCI. And you were saying that you would add most under the 340. You were buying, saying this has the potential to hit $400. In the room, you said real soon, but in public, we were like a week, maybe this week. Just a couple, an hour and a half later, we were at your $400 target that you had set. Grand Slam number 2 was puts back on. I'll mute you for a little bit. Back on February 15th, you were buying the puts on the 15th and cashed out absolutely huge the next morning. And that was just a month later after you had gone long. And you can see you the man. I took those SMCI 990 puts all out of the SMC Lotto, 75 cents to $10. Now, this is a trade that many Inner Circle members made their year back on February 15th. And we can, the thing about the Inner Circle is you get these ideas and you can make your month, your week, your year on one day in this room if things pay off right. Anything you would like to add to that, David?
Yeah, I mean, because we said we were going to talk about the process. My process is really about, it's not about the day or trying to make as much money. A lot of traders have daily goals and weekly goals. It's about realizing that we don't create the opportunity. I can't tell you when SMCI is going to have great earnings and be trading at 8 times earnings and $300 when it should be up far more, or when it then goes to 97 relative strength and provides the best short opportunity. But I can tell you that a lot of times the 7 or 10 or 30 trades in between aren't going to dictate your career. So I've learned after a lot of years that most of our success is really about doing more of the best setups, whatever you deem them to be, managing them well. In other words, holding your winners. When you're wrong, being willing to take losses, doing less size, less focus on what many consider to be cash flow trades. And that's how your year, your week, your career is really going to be dictated. So that's what it's about. Like, when really the even bigger trade for us was short that SMCI. I mean, it literally changed a few accounts forever. That, were 6-figure accounts that were monster 7-figure accounts all of a sudden. So that's really what I've said. Like NVIDIA, that NVIDIA stock sell trade you went over, that made a few people's year. Like, it almost didn't matter what happened after that trade. And that's, I think, a lot of what it took me. I wish I learned this like 20 years ago to learn that Tesla last week was monstrous for us. And today, if there's nothing to do, like today was pretty boring. We took some profits in VKTX, Tesla. I sold some over 270 this morning and did some things like that. I sold some IBIT because I got pretty aggressive Bitcoin recently. But the point is, last week, we had 2 stocks in one day up 20%. I mean, big cap stocks like VKTX is more mid small cap, but VKTX and Tesla both up 20% in a day. That day fed people for a month. So that's a lot of what I think some people take from us and learn, that, you know, like, who cares about tomorrow? Like, I don't care about your 5, 10, whatever size trader you are, 100 grand you need to make tomorrow, because that's not how the market works. It's, you know, about taking advantage of opportunity when it comes, not creating it, but seizing it.
Yeah, that's great. The inner circle really focusing on the best ideas and teaching, you know, the traders in your room to not worry about the little stuff.
Just because it really might help someone. I want to mention this. So there's a guy in my room. He said he actually did well. So it said this didn't hurt him. But today he kind of wrote, he tends to think too much. Bright fellow. He said, you know, the election next week and how much risk to take. And I don't know. I was like, listen, VKTX, home run. Tesla, home run. IBIT, home run. MSTR, monstrosity home run. Google calls, AMD calls, IBM puts. Just, these are trades we've had in the past week. I said, just I said, put your opinion in a box, close it, and talk to me about it next week. Because I'm not bullish the market. I'm bullish individual ideas, right? And I keep saying, like, if you're going to like make money in this market, you're not going to make 20% in the Qs over the next couple of weeks. It ain't happening. So I think the point is to not overthink. And like you keep saying, just, you don't need to buy 20 stocks, right? You just need to buy a few of the right ones and be sized right in them. And that's kind of my mantra.
All right. And then, so full circle for the inner circle, things are coming up. 2024 and the end of 2023, you guys were focused on biotech stocks. You came into the year with a 101 target on XBI, and you nailed it. And plus a little more. So you can see that tweet from Jake. Wow, Epic Trades One has absolutely killed the XBI trade. Immediate follow. So you went in long XBI back at $73 in December, and it hit 103. When was that? End of February. March, yeah. Yeah, I think it was the end of February into March. So you obviously have a feel for this space, a history with this space. You know what you're talking about when it comes to this space. And you say it's your favorite headed into the end of 2024. So just a look, you know, they started here, and now that we're ending here with a focus on XBI. So everyone, go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. We want to focus on questions about the inner circle and David, and not necessarily, you know, levels and targets for stocks, but more about what the inner circle is in particular. We do not, of course, guarantee any success for any traders.
Oh, I get things wrong all the time.
Room has a pretty good track record, right? And David will tell you when he gets things wrong, and he'll get out of something and say, "Hey guys, you know, I think I was chasing here. You know, I don't like this trade. I got in late. You know," and he'll admit it. But if you focus on, like we've said, the good ideas, and you size right on those big ideas, you can make your week, your month, your year in one trade. So typically an application is required to join the inner circle, but we are waiving that application today for attendees of this event. Again, what you get with a membership of the inner circle is live access to the trading room, stock and options ideas throughout the day. You're getting access to David Prince himself, Kira Turner, and Rick March, who are his co-moderators in the room. And, you know, they've had some longer term ideas on things like Amazon, Micron, but then you're also getting those short-term daily plays and names like NVIDIA, Tesla, SMCI. This week, probably AMD, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, and Apple. You're going to get those short-term earnings plays. Real-time analysis, of course, of earnings, Fed decisions, economic data, things that are all coming up this week, and access to a community of some of the smartest traders that you'll ever meet. For some of the smartest traders I've ever seen. It's not just David, Rick, and Kira, but it's the members.
Yeah, out of fairness, there's some people on the chat. Got a buddy who ran one of the largest firms on Wall Street. tons of hedge funds, some guys that, you know, have like different niche focuses, whether it be bio, a news guy who's one of the best on the street. So that what's cool about it is there's some guys who are brighter than myself. There's a few traders that buy and sell me. So it's a good group where there's alpha that's way beyond just who I am. Kira has had, you know, a blockbuster year. Kira used to be a day trader. She kills it. So it's, you know, it's a little bit of, we all add something. One of the biggest trades Inner Circle ever had was Rick. He got short Silicon Valley Bank Corp, and a few accounts went, you know, it had, they'll never lose the money they made in that. So it's a nice, it's not definitely not just about me.
Yeah. So this is what people have told us that they love about the Inner Circle. Again, that focus on the A+ ideas with the right risk reward, focusing on smart money management. So a lot of traders come into the Inner Circle and maybe they have a big account, but they just don't have money management skills, the focus to be figuring out what are the right ideas to size big on. David helps them figure that out.
I say one thing. Yes. One of the most common things I say, especially new people, I'm like, finding ideas is maybe the easiest part of our job. I literally mean that from the bottom of my heart. Managing winners, taking losses, that's the hard part, at least for a lot of us. And that's what we work on. The finding the right idea, like I really was pretty confident in Tesla. Every time I bought NVIDIA this year, I've been quite confident. It's how to hold NVIDIA when you're already up 10 points the same day and believe it's still going to 130 from 90. That's what people really learn about here. Because the idea, like going back to NVIDIA, each time it goes down 20 or 30%, I'm not reinventing the wheel. What I'm doing though is reminding people, I know the street tells you the story's over and it's never coming back, and being confident enough to say there's no evidence to suggest that we're going right back to NVIDIA. That's kind of our shtick.
Yeah, and they've got some great trade ideas in the room, of course, but the room is also some fun. It's a community of traders that you can spend your day with every single day while you're trading and have some fun. David loves to poke fun at Rick, and Rick loves to, you know, have some, he does great, you know, impressions in the room and things like that. So it's a fun room. I have the room up all the time and I'm listening in. And it's fun to listen to sometimes. So you guys will definitely have some fun in there. So who typically joins the Inner Circle? It includes members from all over the world, but professional traders, hedge fund managers, family office heads, corporate executives, professional poker players, entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, doctors, attorneys. They are, though, all these people, they're serious about their idea generation and making money. So if you're still learning the basics, this is not the place for you and be far too advanced for you. So again, we typically require, it's again not for beginners and those with a sub $100,000 account, any cowboys looking to gamble. This is, you know, real ideas, real trading, big traders, and we don't want to gum up the space with people who just can't quite take advantage of the ideas that are being offered in the room. If you do join with our special webinar offer today, again, we are waiving that application that is typically required. So we do ask of you to kind of sit back for a few days and watch what happens and get a feel for the room, then start interacting. So don't just flood the chat with questions. People are there who are focused on ideas with their trading. Focus on those ideas that David gives you and what to do with them. Avoid, again, that random chatter. Don't be asking questions, of course, that you could Google, and be friendly to everyone who is already a member there as well. We want to just keep that ecosystem of the room productive and efficient. This is a chat, sorry. My highlight got all messed up here, but anyway, Jesse on Twitter, you could say, I'm in a bunch of paid trading rooms. I found value in a lot of them, but no one out there is putting their neck on the line like David, giving clear, real-time, actionable info on the hardest trades in the market. But again, like we said, David will admit when he's wrong. And you can see this tweet, best traders on here show and talk about the losses and the wins. David's candid about it on Twitter, but he's even more candid about it in the room as well. So again, you're not just getting ideas from David. We have a rockstar team in the Inner Circle with David, Rick, and Kira. You can see Kira here. She caught more in Tesla last week at the end of the week on Friday after that monster post-earnings rally on Thursday. So we got the huge move higher on Thursday. She was adding back to Tesla pre-market on Friday, and you can see that chart. You see that move higher after the open. So great catch for her. And then Rick on Thursday took calls overnight into that Decker's earnings report. And I mean, over 160% up on the open. So what an earnings play for Rick and those who took it with him in the inner circle. So the access to our offer today is limited to 25 people. We want to be the best, but not the biggest. So we want the best group of traders for everyone here involved. So 25 people is our limit here today. Inner Circle is typically $6,000 a year, and we never offer any discounts on this room, but you can start today with a $700 monthly subscription. So $700 for your first month. That does auto renew, but if you don't like it, you can leave. But I would be willing to bet if you give the Inner Circle a month, you'll like it. So 30 days of ideas from the team plus full community access. First bonus that we're going to offer you with our offer today is a year of the Epic Trades Alerts newsletter. Those are David's top options ideas. That $14.97 bonus is included today for free with your $700 purchase. Most recent trade from Epic Trades, these Uber calls went from $2.50 to over $3 last week. And so that's the most recent trade there. Somebody asked earlier, David, what's the difference between Epic Trades and Inner Circle? Do you want to kind of give the spiel or me?
I don't mind giving it all. So Epic Trades is a lot of guys trading millions of dollars, and there's some smaller people that, well, I don't want to say smaller, but non-million dollar accounts will come in and they get adjusted and they figure it out. And they're frankly people that, whether it's their career or size of their account, it doesn't work for them, but they like the idea flow. How do they do some of the ideas and still take advantage of our idea flow? That is Epic Trades, because I'm not flooding it with ideas and I am kind of going through things. What is my best risk reward where I think it'll work, but maybe not too crazy risky? So yeah, you're going to miss some crazy option lottos we do that are more high risk, but let's just say less risk, plenty of reward, and still get some of our idea flow. That's what the Epic Trades newsletter is about. It's a lot less idea flow because it's 1 or 2 a week max, but I think that's the best way to explain it. What do you think, Greta?
Yeah, great. And the difference, of course, between Epic Trades and Inner Circle is, yes, Epic Trades is your best ideas, your highest conviction ideas, but the Inner Circle, people are getting access all day, every day to you.
Yeah, I mean, you're not like, for Wednesday after the close when Tesla had earnings, I literally looked at the margins. I said, we got to buy this and we got to hold it. We got to.
Right, you're missing those ideas if you're only in Epic Trades.
That has nothing to do with the newsletter. All right, that you got to be in the room to actually act upon that and do it. VKTX, when it was low 60s, I try and share it on Twitter too, but it's never going to be as timely. But hey, it's low 60s. We have obesity week coming up in 2 weeks, and we're going to get a readout. And I still say that they may be the best in class drug. So maybe everyone else doesn't like it, but I like it here. That it's just more active in the room with many more ideas and when to buy and sell, etc.
All right. Bonus time number 2. We already have a buyer, David. So I want to thank Harsh for buying our offer today. Thank Harsh for that purchase. Everyone, again, you can go to t3live.com/circle for the offer. But what's left in the bonus here. We have another bonus for everyone who joins today, and that is a live coaching session with Rick next Monday, November 4th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be there with Rick as well. But he's going to be teaching us how he finds Fibonacci levels and what he does with charts. Rick is the chart guy when it comes to the Inner Circle, and he'll be doing live chart analysis next Monday after the market close. And you guys can ask him all the questions you want during that. And so again, some comments from the room. I learned money management, fill your important bucket first, forget the noise. I remind myself every day, DP, you helped a lot. Haven't been on much today, but wanted to say what an amazing day. I made my week goal in 1 day. So again, guys, if you focus on the right ideas and the Inner Circle helps you do that, you can make your goals in a day. Roughly 55% of all my gains this year have come from NVIDIA with DP. 50% growth on my account this week on 2 main ideas by Epic Trades 1, and that is David. All right, so if we're adding up everything today, $700 for a month of Inner Circle. You get that $14.97 off, $14.97 value for a year of the Epic Trades newsletter included, and a bonus coaching session with Rick March next week. That's a $21.97 total value, $700 only for you today, 68% off. And remember, we're limiting this to 25 people. Go to t3live.com/circle for that. Once we hit 25 new members of the room, we'll be turning this off. So you want to be first in line for this today. And again, why now? Why do you want to join this today? Again, this is what's coming up. I mean, it is a jam-packed week this week. Tomorrow, we have AMD and Google earnings after the market close. But during the market hours, we're getting the JOLTS report.
Doing my disco dance lessons on Thursday.
All right, there we go. On Wednesday, we're getting Meta and Microsoft earnings after the close. But in the morning, we'll get private employment numbers and also new GDP numbers. And then on Thursday, after the close, Apple and Amazon earnings. But in the morning, we'll get the PCE price index, which is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. And then on Friday, it's the October jobs report. So we're getting earnings, we're getting economic data. It's a really big week for the market. Next week is obesity week, and we're also getting that new data from BKTX on Sunday. So man, the stuff coming up is a lot.
There's this thing I heard about. They call it an election.
And there's an election.
Yeah, those two
Tuesday
people
as well. Yeah, so lots of catalysts coming up for the market that the inner circle, of course, will be focused on. So the timing of this webinar and this chance to join the room is, in my opinion, pretty perfect. I wanted you to address a question that we got here. Let me scroll back. Okay, Stephen asked, and so this is, I feel like, important to address. He asked, is a $100,000 account absolutely necessary, or would you say a $40,000 to $50,000 account could be fine? So for those who are thinking about joining.
Great question. So Stephen, I'm at this. I didn't plan on doing this. It's a long story how I started Inner Circle, but I basically did Inner Circle for free on another buddy of mine's chat for like 7-8 years. And then I got a little exhausting. So I was like, I got to figure out a better way to do this. So we did Inner Circle. And I thought, wow, if I'm going to do it the right way, I need it to help me a little bit. So I got to have it really expensive. So people who aren't dedicated 100% aren't on chatting about nonsense, bothering us. And two, it really kind of sets a focus for not the quality of people, because they're people who are bright without money, right? They're people who are dumb with tons of money, but it just forces people who are in the place to be dedicated and 100% professional. Here's the catch. There's $50,000 accounts that are that way. So I have, no BS, had about 10 or 15 of those come up, sometimes in a sneaky fashion. There's a fellow who I saw, they advertised his accounts up 300%. I'll mention his name. His name's Hitesh. He's a nice kid. He's a kid. Got blown up at some scam room, some crap on Twitter. And he's like, I borrowed money to join your room. I'm like, what the? I go, how are you in my room? You shouldn't be here. I'm so sorry to hear what you're going through. Ask me questions on Twitter. You shouldn't be paying for my room. It's like, I already paid. I heard you can help me. Like, what? He's like, I did this big trade. I didn't ask you. I didn't know you yet. I had 30 grand when I joined your room. I now have 10. Said, how the hell did this happen? Why is he here? Oh, I feel so bad for this poor kid. I'm telling this long story for a reason. So I said, this is not charity, but I feel so bad. You borrowed money to join the room. This never should have happened. You shouldn't even be in the stock market. But tell me about yourself. He told me about himself. I'm going to cut to the chase. I said, you don't know what the hell you're doing. If you talk to me every day, if you ask me questions before you ever enter a trade again, we will go slow. I am not making your money back. You can't afford any risk. So I'm not making your money back over the next 2 months, probably not even the next 6 months. We're going to go slow. You're going to learn what the hell you're doing. And clearly you were a gambler. The guy had lost a few $100 grand and was down to nothing. Well, it's a year and a half later, and the guys, or maybe a year later, the guy made 300%. And then there's someone who started with 50 and over 4 years turned into 800. But this person had to come to me every day and learn. It's a process. So the answer is it can happen. It's rare. Usually those people are not people, not because of the dollar amount, that are not really full-time. So I would say, because I'm not here to tell someone the $50,000 account to join for $6 grand a year, unless this is something you envision being your career and you want to learn, you want to figure out how to follow stocks and know that your screen should be up a certain way, and the semi stocks should be separated from the software stocks and the financial stocks. And that RSI's at 80 don't mean what you think they mean, because they might go to 90 if it's biotech. So if you want to learn that granular stuff and take it to the next level, great. But if you're in this for a couple of Q trades, no, that doesn't make sense. So yes, there are those exceptions, but it's for people that are really looking to expand how much knowledge and how much they do. Hopefully that explained it.
Yeah, great. All right, so we're down to just 21 spots left, everyone. We've had 4 people join already. I've already thanked Harsh earlier, but I want to thank Chris and Susan for joining as well, and also Selena. Chris said, I just signed up. David, I've been following you on Twitter 6 months, and I've been impressed with your acumen and approach. Looking forward to having fun and making money with everyone.
Thank you.
CJ earlier said, I like David's group out of most T3 Live groups because he's more conservative on his trades and much research is put in before taking action. One great thing about the Inner Circle is David's preparation, and he shares it with everyone. Every single morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, David does a morning call, and he goes through what he is focused on that day as a trader. And that gives everyone else, hey, this is what David's focusing on. If I want to follow his playbook in a way, this is where I need to be looking. These are the levels I need to be monitoring. These is the news that's coming out today that I need to be focused on. And David puts that together every single day in the morning call. If you miss it, Kira posted a recording for everyone. Let's see what else is about the room. So you approached you addressed that account size question, which I thought was great. B-Dub asked for the BTF if I'm a member but cannot make it one day. Can I see what was bought/sold that day?
Oh, yeah. Right. So I don't, yeah. So this is you might get too much info here. Like, it's not just buy or sells and, time stamped, you see exactly when it's done. It's more about like, hey, this is the level I like something where I want a half a position. This is something I'm not a fan of yet, and I bought 10% of a position and I hope it gets killed, or I don't even like this idea, don't touch it. We're very vocal on price and timing and specifics. I think, honestly, 90% of the chats out there, from what I hear, I'm not saying I'm better than the next guy, but if one thing we are better at than the next guy, it's the details on levels, why we do things, how we do things, what we carry overnight. None of this like, oh, I forgot to tell you I bought something, I have it, it's up 10 points. Oh, that's down 10 points? I sold it, I didn't tell you. None of that stuff. Win, lose, or draw, it's very thorough and detailed.
David, what would you say the breakdown is between the stock and options ideas that are happening in the Inner Circle?
It's cool. I would normally say 70-80% stock, but because Rick is so option focused, I'm going to go with it might even be 60 to 65% stock, 30 to 35% options. For me, sometimes I'll end up being 70% options because there's low volatility and I see a lot of opportunity. I really treat options in a mature way. And what I mean by that is I try and look at the IV. I try and look where we are in the market, volatility. And sometimes it's a cute trade. I'm only looking for a few points on a stock, and the option doesn't make sense because the IV is too high and I'm not looking for much. So sometimes volatility is low and I'm very bullish or very bearish, and options will offer us more upside. So I'll give you an example. It was about a month or 6 weeks ago where NVIDIA was kind of not doing so well, and it was sitting, and it was the tightest chart I have seen on NVIDIA all year. I wrote about this on Twitter. It was 114 to 118 and just sitting there, and the chart kind of looked like that. I said, wow, the way to play this has got to be options, because once it breaks out of this range, up or down, it's going to be huge. And my vote was higher. And that time I went all options because I was like, wow, I think it's going to go up 8 or 9 points in a straight line. Why buy stock when I think the options, because it's been so boring and so tight, the options don't have a lot of IV. I think we can kill it on options, and we all really focus on the options that time. So it's 65% stock. I'm going 35% options. But if the market changes, we change. So there are times that changes.
Real quickly, I wanted to show everyone what the room looks like. So I'll show everyone. So here in the alert section, You can't see my cursor. Okay. The top left there is the alerts. That's where David, Rick, and Kira are posting the trades they're taking active intraday as they're happening. Below that, you can see is the main chat. That's where other chat members are posting about the market. This is your market focused chat. What trades they're taking, what levels they're seeing, what levels they're monitoring, etc. So it's not, again, just ideas from David, Rick, and Kira, but also members of the room. There's the lounge, which is, okay, there you can see my cursor now. The lounge is going to be your unmarket focused topic, but they have a little fun there in the lounge. And then this trades and positions tab is where every single day, as you can see here, this morning, David posted what he's coming in with. So he was long NVIDIA, Tesla, VKTX, IBIT, XBI, Immunome, all of these coming into the day. Rick as well, Kira as well. They post what they're coming in with every day. But if you were away for lunch and you wanted to see what happened at, you weren't around for 2:30, you just scroll here through the alerts and everything is time stamped, what time they said. And David also will often give levels in here. Like tomorrow, I can guess he's going to post in here, AMD's expected move is this for earnings. Here's what I'm focused on. Google's expected move is this for earnings, and he'll put all that in here as well. So that's just a look at what the inner circle looks like when you join the room. So again, our offer today is $700 for a month of Inner Circle. You'll get a year of the Epic Trades newsletter included and a group coaching session with Rick March next week. It's a $21.97 total value, just $700 today. A good question we got here from Apollo is, are most trades taken pre-market for the room?
No.
They're active all day long. So yes, of course, the Inner Circle is active in the
pre-market.
We're
like Apollo should know. No, we're like money managers as much as we are traders. That's not the way it works. Mm-hmm. So there's, I go, maybe that's 10% of the time or 15% of the time at max. No.
Yes,
that's not the case.
Active all day. But definitely active in pre-market when you need to be.
If something comes up, absolutely. I'm not afraid to do pre-market or after hours.
After hours as well.
I bought some Tesla today when it was down another $1 and change after hours, 261 and below. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nick asked, maybe you already asked, but he just joined us. What's the focus in % of time day trading versus multi-day trading or swing trading?
It really depends on where we are. Like, I really want to be specific because this is a direct answer to the question. Depends where we are in the stock market. I really believe everything's about risk reward. So if we were, I'll give an example, a year ago, and everyone was super bearish the market and rates were still higher, and it was after, I guess, like the end of 22, and everyone said you can't buy Mag 7. I'm like, no one's left to buy the market. I'm as bullish as you can be, and we're along the queues for months at a time. Now here we are. The S&P trades 21 times. We're in earnings season. We have an election. We have 8 million wars going on, and I have 8 million stocks that have gone up 200% or 100% or 50%. Now there's a lot less to chew on, right? There's a little less upside. So sometimes it's more cute trades, day trades. It really depends on where we are in the market. What I can tell you is it's about the setup. So typically my sweet spot is short-term swing trading, which I'd put at 3-4 days to 4 weeks. That's kind of like what people know me to be successful at. That's where I'm really good. I've taught a lot of people, like this guy, Craig Mira, who's up, who used to just scalp all day and be a day trader and always make a few $100,000 a year, how to make 7 figures and make real money by actually holding the stock for the next 2, 3, 4 days. So I'm going to tell you that most of us aren't day traders. That doesn't mean I don't do day trades. I do them all the time. But I also believe that real money is made by taking real risk, right? So anyone that day traded Tesla every day last week, they missed 50% of the move. So it really depends where we are in the market and what ideas there are. But we do plenty of day trades. It's just probably, 20, 30% max of what we do.
All right. We are down to just 19 spots left. I want to thank Larissa and Ricardo. Those are our latest members to take advantage of our offer here. Thank you for joining us in the Inner Circle. We're excited. Aaron asked earlier, he said, sorry if I missed it, but DP, can you give us some background and color of his career, where he cut his teeth, mentorship, years in the biz, etc.? Tell us about you, David, as a trader. How you got to where you are
So,
today.
after college, I was a nightclub owner. Don't ask me what that has to do with finance. And after realizing it was a lot of fun and I had great stories and I was in the newspapers and all of that, I was like, all right, I don't want to do this long term. I got to go into finance. All my best friends went to business school and Wharton and so on. I didn't. God, do I really want to go back to school? Probably not. I think I'm going to go learn the business backwards. So I'm going to be a stockbroker. God, I don't want to be a stockbroker. All right, I'll be a stockbroker, but I'm going to do it just to learn the business. So I was a stockbroker. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I learned corporate finance while doing it. Did it a bunch of different places, smaller shops like the Lattenbergs of the world, and built a pretty decent sized book, but ran, I don't know, 100, 200 million. It was many, many years ago. And what I eventually found was the internet crash happened. And frankly, I was now at a firm that I had with two partners. One was the largest broker at Prudential, Payne Weber, before they combined. And another one who's a biotech guru, who's one of my best friends since I'm 15. We formed a BD together and worked together. Anyway, to make a long story short, the stock market crashed. And I was like, I don't know if I understand the market enough to risk people's money now that the market has crashed. I hate losing people money. I'm not going to be able to sleep at night. So I'm just going to trade my own money to figure out what's going on. It was 2001. Start trading my own money. I was like, I'm kind of good at this. This is cool. I figured it's a fluke. Then I kept trading. I'm turning like a few $100,000 into 7 figures. Now my firm, my BD, is almost going out of business because we're doing no commission money. And they're like, we have net capital issues. Could you help trade our money? We need to make money. So yeah, sure, I'll do it. Turned like a few $100,000 into $1 million for them or so. And then they promptly said, oh, we need it to keep our firm in business. Thank you very much. So all right. But they looked at me, they're like, you probably should open up a hedge fund. I'm like, I own nightclubs. I was a drama major at Vassar. What the hell? A hedge fund? They're like, my best friend's like, yeah, I think you're an idiot savant. I don't know why this happened, but you're probably an idiot savant and you should do a hedge fund. Just giving you the real story, so I hope no one's offended. So I opened up a hedge fund. Turned out I was kind of good at this, but along the way, to kind of cut through the chase, I did a lot of banking and we're a pretty successful merchant bank. We've done some of the bigger deals that have been done in cannabis. We did the only large deal in the US that went public through a wirehouse, JP Morgan, which was Hydrofarm. We did Elong. ExamWorks was me and my partners before being bought out by Leonard Green, went public through Goldman Sachs. So we do a lot of corporate finance. We did SPACs before they became hot. We did the 2 brand name SPACs in the early 2000s with Jamba Juice, which was a home run, and American Apparel. So what I've basically done is learned about corporate finance, deal flow in a backwards fashion, how to manage money in a backwards fashion, and translate it into a hedge fund. And then eventually, after cutting my teeth and being pretty good at this after 30 years, decided, how can I get some alpha from other people, stop helping too many people, do it all in one place? Because I was on a buddy's chat and I had 50 people messaging me and calling me. It was exhausting. I said, why don't I do this all in one place? We'll have my buddies on. I'll get help from them. They'll get help from me. And maybe it'll be my way to give back because I'm not wealthy enough where I can write $10 million checks. And frankly, like I've done deals, like some of the biggest funds around were in Immunome before it went from 7 to 30 in Jamba Juice. My best friend who ran Soros Private Equity was in Jamba Juice with me. They don't really give a damn when you make a guy who's worth millions of dollars. So what ended up happening, I was like, ooh, this is cool. Now I can be in a place, we're more like a family. It's not like a normal chat. I know a lot of guys' wives, girlfriends, kids. Now I'm in a place where instead of writing a big check to a charity, I'll have a guy. I have a buddy who's on the chat. We talk about him a lot, so I should give you different stories. But buddy on the chat from Pakistan who wasn't wealthy, had like less than $1 million in the market, who now has, let's just say, north of 5 million, like way north of 5 million. His life's changed forever. And he thanks me for it every day. And it's like pretty cool. So here I am till I burn out. It's been fun. And they're like wild stories. And that's kind of how I cut my teeth. It's long-winded, but I didn't go to Wharton and then work at Goldman Sachs. I did it all backwards because I started off with nightclubs, and it was kind of fun doing it, but I won't let my kid do it the way I did it. But anyway, got the same information. I went about it in a complete backwards fashion. So that's the story of my career.
All right. We're down to just 18 spots left. We do expect to sell out by tomorrow on those 25 spots that we're offering. So anyone who wants to get any questions answered about the room, get those in right now. And if you're on the fence, I say join. But, somebody asked, this is great. Do you talk about sizing for swings, options, and calls?
Every single day. Sizing, and literally focus are what dictate your success, not stock picking. Stock picking is the easy part. So sizing is everything.
Yes, definitely.
So
Sizing on the right ideas.
I would say ad nauseum, Chris. So there was a time about a year ago where I did this deal because we got pretty good at corporate finance, and my partner brought in the most important guy in biotech to partner with Immunome and basically take over the company. And this guy, Clay Segal, came in, and at 7, I said, there's ever a time to go large a spec stock to change your life, it's now. And I can give you 30 people on the chat who changed their life forever that went large, bought it, held it for 2 months, and sold it between 15 and 30. Plenty, not till it was 25 or 30, including Kira. And then now there's some people who bought it on the way down. It came all the way back in. It was 15 or 16. And people are like, I'm buying it. I'm going to buy size. I'm like, no, you're not actually. Because now it's in the after honeymoon stage, and it's going to take some time, and let's wait and let's let it come in. So timing and sizing are talked about ad nauseum in the room because every idea is different. Some we love, some we like, some are cute.
All right. Again, everyone, that's t3live.com/circle to take advantage of today's special offer. We're down to 17 spots. Thank you. Our latest buyers were Chris and Joe. So thank you for joining us. Brian here in the chat, in the comments saying Inner Circle is impressive, not just for the gains, for its spirit. David, for a trader who might find the market overwhelming because, of course, there's a ton of news happening all the time and you have to choose what to focus on, how do you help with the psychological aspect of trading and choosing what is important to focus on?
Sure. By basically having a real thought out approach to the week, the month, and where we are in the market. Is it time to focus on earnings? Is it time to focus on large or small cap? Is it time to be in 50% cash or 70% cash? And what are the risks over the coming weeks? So I would say the morning call and really planning things out. Like a lot of traders are taught, don't plan, react. Like anyone who plans is an idiot. I'm just the opposite. I plan everything. And here's what happens. Half of what I plan never happens because I make a plan, and if X doesn't happen, I can't do Y to equal Z. But if X does happen, I go after Y and I get Z times 2. So that's kind of how we look at things. Is we're always planning ahead into earnings season, into election, into, hey, when does biotech particularly do well? When is it time to size up? When is it time to size down? It's funny. Here's what I'm most proud of today. On Friday, I said, listen, I don't care how high Tesla goes. I really think it'll eventually get to 300, but it's time to size down. It's 270. I'm sizing down. This morning, I probably didn't look so smart because I sold almost 90% of my stock, and it's 273. Today, I don't look like such an idiot at the end of the day, and now I'm buying it back at 261. So that's like, is it time to focus on being big or small? Is it time to focus on putting some cash aside so volatility, if it spikes, we can get aggressive? The reason August 5th was so good to us, I had no clue the yen trade was going to happen, but I did not like the market. I said, that moment I was bearish the market. I said, I hate the market here. And I went really highest cash level I've been in a while. So when we got that drawdown, we could be very aggressive. So it's really planning ahead.
16 spots left. Our latest member is Lawrence. So I want to thank Lawrence for joining us today. Let's go through the value of this again, David, what everyone is getting with today's special webinar offer. $700 is the value of a month of Inner Circle. Typically, the year of Epic Trades would cost someone nearly $1,500, $1,497. and we can't put a price on it. It is priceless, that group coaching session with Rick March. I mean, I'll tell you guys, the last group coaching session that I hosted with Rick, I have no idea how to do Fibonacci levels. I now know how Rick does Fibonacci levels because Rick taught us in that how he finds his Fibonacci levels. And I actually understood it for the first time ever in all the years that I've been doing anything related to the market. I never knew how Fibonacci levels.
Will you show me?
Now you're gonna have to come next. Just come join next.
Okay.
Yeah, watch. All right. So again, that's a $21.97 total value plus more because of that Rick coaching session, and that's going to cost just $700 today. So again, t3live.com/circle. We're down to just 16 spots left for this special offer today. You don't want to miss it. Nick asked if you usually suggest trades with a physical stop loss. Do you usually provide a target and a minimum risk reward for each trade?
Good question. Stop losses, you won't hear me put in hard stop losses a lot, Nick. I actually believe where most people take a stop loss is usually where you should be buying more or shorting more. I do have a mental stop loss. When I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong and take a loss. But very often, how people put in a stop at the most obvious spot, I teach people how not to do that and to really be proven that you're wrong beyond like 10 minutes. So the answer is stop losses are generally in here. Occasionally, I'll put a hard stop loss in because I'm traveling, and I will always establish a risk reward before a trade. I will take no trade. I don't want to lie. So there's probably times I haven't done it, but 95% of the time, if I don't have a risk reward scenario in my head, I'm not taking a trade. Like the one thing you need to know is what's the setup? How much can I make versus lose in terms of points or dollars? So pretty much every trade I go into, whether it's a day trade or a swing trade, I'm looking at that.
Mm-hmm. And Susan said, great story, David. I am excited to have joined. Thank you, Susan. We are excited to have you joining us in the inner circle. Somebody asked earlier how many members approximately in the room. Amber answered for me. She said we currently have approximately 385 members in the inner circle. So lots of opportunity to get really good ideas from those in the chat. I do know, of course, some of those members are not always active daily in the chat, but they are taking advantage of David's ideas, even if they're quiet.
You know, it's weird. Some of the biggest guys, like I have friends who run funds who only speak once or twice a day, and these are guys swinging millions and millions of dollars. So one thing that happens, but I'm trying to change it, find middle ground. Some of the most successful people in the chat, frankly, speak the least, but the least amount. But I think it's also a lesson. They're focused on making money, not chatting. But like a lot of guys will message, you'll be like, oh, dude, great call, Tesla. Like I size down, thanks. These are guys making millions of dollars, and they don't care about like writing crap all over the chat all day. They're focused on making money. They write when it's important to write, and they share when it's important to share.
All right. Again, so t3live.com/circle to take advantage of today's offer. 15 spots left. We're down to 15 spots left. Alan is our latest to join us. So thank you, Alan, for joining us. So we're down. 10 of these are already gone, and the webinar is not even over. So we do expect this to sell out pretty quickly by the end of today, probably. Maybe there will be some left tomorrow morning. Everyone who's with us, if you missed any part of this, a replay is going to be sent out so you can, get a look at what David's been doing, what David's planning for. But again, there we go. Here's what you're getting with today's offer. Again, $700 is the value of 1 month of Inner Circle. $14.97 is the value of that year of the Epic Trades newsletter. And again, those are David's highest conviction trade ideas. Group coaching session with Rick March next week. It's a $21.97 total value, $700 today. And it does auto renew. Again, just 15 spots left. Go to t3live.com/circle. Stone Glad asked question. I just grabbed one of the spots. Amber will be glad I finally joined. LOL. If we decide to join for the year after this month, can we apply the $700 toward the annual subscription? Yes, Amber, I know she will help you. Stone, I know she will help you, but thank you for joining us for this. Tracy asked, is December/January slower in this room typically? David, is it slower? I don't think it's slower.
Last December, I went very aggressive in IWM at 165, 170. This is all documented. It's out there. It's on Twitter too. And XBI at 65 to 74. January.
I remember that SMCI trade we talked about. That was in January.
Oh yeah, an SMCI.
Yeah.
I'm not one to talk my book because I'm too old. I'd actually rather you ask people, but since you asked me, most people wanted to name their dogs and their kids after me by January. So no, it was not slow. It was a lot of break dancing by me, sometimes naked. I was that happy. it was a special time. So no. I mean, it's a very bullish period typically also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might be a slower time for a lot of the market, but I feel like the important part when it comes to David in the inner circle is you're gonna get ideas even if the market's slow. David's gonna find you those.
I want to address that. Really important for anyone. That's not how the market works, right? The market's not slow because it's typically slow or there's nothing to do. That's not how it works. We don't know. Our job is to make ourselves available because at any given moment in time, because let me tell you, no one knew August 5th was happening. So I'm not a big believer in, hey, is it typically slow at this time or bigger this time? Sure, it's busier during earnings season, but in general, I don't believe in that. I believe if opportunity is created, I better be around to take advantage of it. And if it's slower, that's fine. My job is to make sure myself and everyone else don't waste time churning ourselves and losing money by forcing trades. But generally, that's a bullish time of the year. But more importantly, I don't care if it is or not, because we don't need a lot of ideas. We just need to be in a few special ideas. So I almost don't think about questions like that as relevant to us. I just thought it was important to say.
I want to highlight this from Dennis. He said, FYI, David is also an expert at knowing which Wall Street analyst notes, upgrades, downgrades, price target changes matter, and which to ignore. He joined a month ago and says it's life-changing. This is really, really a great example of how David takes raw information, those analyst upgrades, those price targets, and turns it into actionable trades and actionable ideas, saying, hey, this guy's opinion on this doesn't matter, but hey, this guy, so-and-so talking about Apple, that matters, and that's going to be something for us. It's invaluable. I look at analyst upgrades and price targets and it's like, okay, whatever. So, some of these guys have price targets that are $100 below where the stock is trading. David can tell you guys, what actually matters. And then Larissa, who is a new member, she joined earlier. She said, I was at Traders for a Cause and heard David speak there. I loved your speech, David. Quoting you, ultimate nirvana in this business is to acquire more information. Thank you for your impact and sharing your knowledge. And
that's
so
really
David,
thank you, Marissa.
David is giving great knowledge to the traders in the room. Someone asked what the cost of an annual sub is. It's $6,000 a year. Again, typically never discounted ever at T3, but we're offering this special offer just to those who are attending this webinar with us today. Joe said, been following DP for almost a year. Glad to be a part of the inner circle. Finally, one question, is the coaching session with Rick recorded? I love to review. Yes, everything we do is recorded and sent to you as a review. So that coaching session we have next week will be recorded. And I'll send you the recording, David, so you can learn how to do Fibonacci levels too.
I need it. All right, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. So again, we're down to just 15 spots left. And it's $700 today to join. David, do you have anything to add about what the inner circle gives to a trader and helps the trader with when it comes to joining?
And then could we? This is gonna sound crazy. Then
yeah,
can I stop? Okay,
it's been an hour and a half. Yeah,
well, I'm gonna give
wrap up.
I'm gonna give. I hope this comes off right, wrong. I don't know. I don't come from the trading community. Like I said, I learned banking, I ran a fund, and had a BD, and was a broker like a million years ago. So I learned a bunch of stuff, and first 10 years I sucked. I lost money all the time. And I lost money for other people, and it felt awful. So now I got kind of good at it, and I helped a lot of people for years. Now we're doing it. Here's the difference. Managing money is so emotional, and it's so much about not whether you bought NVIDIA. It's how many times did you buy NVIDIA? How long did you hold it? What stock did you buy pre the event? Did you know whether to sell it before the event came? It's learning like that not everything is as easy as it sounds. Like just because earnings were great, well, if the stock ran up into earnings, that doesn't work. I think we try and provide a lot more context as to what makes a stock work and what doesn't than your average Joe chat. And I think we really put a lot of effort into understanding how someone's mind works, because certain people aren't right for all trades. I have friends on the chat. They'll be like, oh, should I do that idea? I'm like, no, that idea is so not for you. When I'm down 5, ask me, because it might be perfect. So the fact that we take the time to really walk through what we expect of the ideas, what the risk is, what maybe the reward might be. When I love something, I try and be vocal and really talk about it, not after the fact, but before. That I think is where we make the difference. You know, I've laughed at people like, I hate Twitter. I wouldn't be on Twitter if it wasn't for this inner circle thing. I'm so over it. People drive me crazy, but there's some nice people I help, and it's good promotion, so I stay on. My point is, every once in a while, I get some jerk off who will be like, they just, I don't know, they make a fake account and they said, oh, this is not true. There are no trades, even though we trade all day. And I'm always like, God, if I was 30 and I wasn't 54 and too old to fight, and I think I look like an idiot if I answered these people. I'm like, if they could see that there's not 1, not 5, not 10, not 30, there's like 50 people here that literally have made millions of dollars and their lives are changed forever. And they're my friends, and they call me at home on the weekends. Some sleep in my house. That's what makes us special. It's like a real family. You get to know people. It's not, I don't make money all the time. I get them wrong too. But the fact that we actually care, and it goes far beyond like just a cute trading community, that's our difference. Was that good enough? Because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Now I'm exhausted.
That was great. All right. So again, everyone, t3live.com/circle. So one more look at everything you're going to get for $700 today. Again, that's at t3live.com/circle. Type that into your browser right now, everyone. t3live.com/circle to take advantage of today's special offer. We're down to just 15 spots, and we expect these to go quickly. Everyone who was registered with us today will be receiving a replay of this in your email and ability to click link there and get that. But again, type that into your browser, t3live.com/circle. This is a offer you don't want to miss. When we are sending out emails tomorrow saying, look what you missed in AMD and Google, and then the next day Meta and Microsoft, and the next day Amazon and Apple, you don't want to be missing those trades that are coming up in the inner circle. You want to be part of those trades. You don't want to get that FOMO email. You want to say, I took that trade because I was there and I joined today. So again, that's t3live.com/circle. David, I will let you go. Thank you so much for doing this today. Everyone, I hope you take advantage of our offer.
Thanks everyone for showing up. I heard it was like tons of people. So thank you for taking the time.
We're at like over 3,700 viewers right now, David.
I appreciate it, guys, very much.
Doing great. Yeah. So again, t3live.com/circle. Get into the room tomorrow morning. They'll be there at 7 o'clock. David will be doing his morning call at 8 o'clock in the morning. So you want to get that analysis that we were talking about. Have a good night, David.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining. Oh my God, Bitcoin 70,000.